I'm down under in Australia and I ain't got no wine, 'cause I'm fishing for eels and staying sober all the time. We arrived at Sydney Airport halfway along the Eel Coast Eel Zone because I'd researched where to go when we were still chilling at home. We didn't go as far as Queensland because of the threat from crocodiles. Instead, we drove through New South Wales for a couple of 100 miles. Used the map to trace any waterways that connect through to the sea. This showed which water eels can access and where we want to be. The lake is in a heat wave and the ground is baked as hard as brick, as the sun burns bright and massive, making you feel quite dry and sick. It's the hottest it's been for over 10 years as the region suffers drought. The reservoir levels are historically low and all the water's running out. We are camping and fishing and it's only gonna be fun if we can keep in the shade to avoid the burn of the sun. The shallow water is far too hot and it has no oxygen for fishes. The deeper the water, the bigger the eel is now the motto of our wishes. Turtles are a nuisance that scoff our bait each day. Whatever bait we put on the hook, they carry it away. We fish in rivers and still waters and even in the estuary. Wherever longfin eels reside, so there go Pete and me. £8, £10 and then a 14. The size of these eels is keeping us keen. For bait we use fish guts, chicken meat and all. Bits of roadkill and once a possum's ball. From very deep water I caught 18-pounders aplenty, and then a 19 and eventually a 20. I didn't get a run for a day and a night, so I went for a shower to wash off the shite. I left Peter lolling in the sun to mind over my fishing rod. He caught a 22-pounder, how's that for a jammy sod? When making camp, sweep the undergrowth to check there is no snake. I say this 'cause Peter pitched his tent over one's nest beside the lake. It is advisable to use the ties at the bottom of your shorts. Pete cut the ties off his and said he didn't like those sorts. And then he slept with his feet right next to the lake, and up his trouser leg went a red and black snake. He leapt up making the strangest of calls, and he shook it out before it reached his balls. We found a massive spider's web with a span of several feet. On it was the biggest, scariest spider I've ever managed to meet. I threw a moth into the web and spider pounced straight away. It ate up all of the moth's head, cocooned the rest for another day. Suddenly I got a run. Line spilled off the spool quite fast. When I struck, the rod arched over as I hooked an eel at last. As it came towards the shore, it snagged around a sunken tree. I pulled the branch until it broke, and then the eel came free. I landed the eel with a piece of the branch stuck around the line. The eel weighed over 14 pounds, and for me that'll do just fine. I tried a piece of ox heart, cast far out to give it a test, and soon caught a 2110 eel, which for me is a personal best. The longfin eel has such a big mouth it can swallow the hook too far inside. Then the hook can tear the eel's innards and put its health on a downhill slide. Put a rigid rod upon the line just slightly above the bait to stop the eel from swallowing hook and save it from bad fate. Bait storage was a big problem as it slowly cooked from the heat all around until we put it under the ground sheet and piled our luggage on top in a mound. And then we learnt to bury our bait under the sand upon the beach, deep down where it is cool and damp and the sun just cannot reach. Eel fishing in Australia, tackle needs to be strong and tough indeed. For finesse and low resistance rollovers, there really is no need. We needed very strong line to cope with eels over 15 pound, as we had to prize them out of thick weed beds whenever they went to ground. Hardened hooks are not used because they don't bend straight and pull free, but a softer hook can be wrenched out when you get stuck in a sunken tree. Nighttime chorus spellbinds with chirping and rhythmical singing. Crickets twitter, bullfrogs croak, and tree cicadas give a high-pitched ringing. Early morning's a special time of day when kookaburras call beneath dawn-red skies, and kangaroos drink their fill on the shore before sun-up when everything dries. You can't buy a landing net in Australia big enough for a 62-inch long fish, so you have to take your own along, making it as big as you could wish. A tornado blows tropically warm air in the sky right over me, where it meets up with a cold front and turns to electricity. Sheets of lightning crackled in the sky ever so close above, as the thunder clapped over the tent, kind of excitement that I love. A massive storm arrived one day with winds of gale-force zest. My tent was blown down by a twister, and my rod tossed from its rest. Afterwards, when waters calm, the beach was strewn with debris. Crickets chirp, birds dried out, and a magpie warbled in a tree. At dawn I heard an angler's cough, but the mist was too thick to see through. When the mist thinned out, what I thought was an angler turned out to be a kangaroo. To find bigger eels in rivers, you must find which have been commercially netted. We found this info in catch returns. To eel management plans we are indebted. After Pete had a wash in the river, a big eel came right to him, attracted by all the clonking and the way he made a din. Dropping in a bait, he caught a 15 within less than a minute. Verified another of our mottos, you've got to be in it to win it. We started to rod up, moving down river with little waiting around. Dropped in a swim, and within a minute an hooked an eel weighing 18 pound. Something caught my eye as I sat waiting for a bite. A stone lying on the bottom looked unusually bright. I looked a little closer, saw a face upon the stone. It is little wonder I had felt I was not alone. Watching the eels return seems the best part of the trip to me. Wriggling off, gliding away and slithering free. Conservation-wise I feel so very good indeed to know that all the eels I caught I can get back to the sea to breed. After 6 weeks of sun and chilling we returned to the UK. I have enjoyed it so much I will be back again one day. Did no fishing on the last night, just drinking lots of wine. We are on the second bottle and I'm feeling rather fine. And that is the end. 1, 2, 3, Xander.